now hear from our supplementary evaluators. I'll start with our grammarian, Rajni. If you can have the grammar report, please.
Thank you. Thank you, General Evaluator, Toastmasters Meet. And again, thank you everybody for participating. And I'm glad that I got to hear so many of you, so many versatile thoughts today. I'll start with mentioning those who have very well and cleverly used the word of the day, undermine. And that would be Toastmaster Pratiksha and Toastmaster Divya. Both used the word undermine in their speech. So kudos to you both, because it was a prepared speech. And despite that, you found the space to use the word, which is very, very interesting to see that you can improvise on the way, even in a prepared speech. Now I'm going to quickly touch upon various speakers who spoke, and I'll try to also mention if there was some cultural aspect to how we said something to the best of my knowledge. But if I am taking something incorrectly, I'm also open to feedback, please. So Bhupendra, you were Sergeant of the Arms today. So Sergeant is spoken as Sergeant. You said Surgeon, so you probably want to work on your pronunciation for that word if you keep on playing that role, especially. Then you said whilst listening my song. So listen to is usually used together. That is the helping verb that you would use. No one is going to throw you their shoes. So you probably wanted to say that no one is going to throw at you their shoes. So the usage throw at usually, because that's an action in a direction. Wearing the helmet, you at this instance wanted probably to say wearing a helmet, because you were not talking about a specific helmet. It was a general expression. But otherwise, you did well, and we really enjoyed how you entertained us with your thoughts. Moving on to Saroj, Toastmaster Saroj, again, thank you for keeping us flowing through the very introduction of the meeting. For you, I have only a few thoughts which I think might help you. However, you actually used very good phrases throughout. Like, for example, you mentioned phrases like none other than, without further ado. Then once again, and you said again, good morning at a time. So you were, I think, speaking 2-3 times. I would say if you want to, you can actually practice a few pleasantries. So that if you have to come to stage multiple times, you have a little variety on how you're greeting. So that's just a suggestion. And pronunciation wise, emphasizes a word that you probably want to work upon and see how well to pronunciate it. And one more suggestion from my side is when you have to call upon people on the stage and we say, can I request so and so, can I request so and so. So, and a lot of other people also used it. So the idea of saying can I means that I am questioning that is it something that I can do or not, right? But you do not mean it that way. So probably you want to word it differently. You can say, I would like to request so and so, or is there anybody in the meeting who would like to? So there are so many other ways of doing it. But when I say, can you do it? Or can I do it? So we are kind of questioning the capability of the person, which I know most of the times we are not trying to do, right? So a little attention might help you. Toastmaster Divya, again, great speech. Thank you also for sharing your thoughts about the meeting and the club. A few suggestions, and this is something a lot of us use is because we are in a lack of adjectives. So we use really nice, great feeling. At times I saw Shwetank also say great body language, or somebody also used something like that, right? So when we use words like really, great, that's actually a filler word. And that's because there's an absence of a real vocabulary or adjective that we wanted to use, right? So when you say this is really great, I don't know what you mean, right? So if you put it a proper adjective at the place, you will be much more effective in conveying your feeling. So I also recommend there's a wheel of feelings very much available online. So you can Google wheel of feelings. A lot of feeling words are available that you can use in your communication. Also, your speech was about mentoring, and you used the word mentor a lot of times, but at times you were communicating or saying it, pronouncing it differently. So maybe you want to decide once how you want to say mentor and then stick to it. There are multiple ways of saying words which have O with R. So it's okay to use one or the other way of speaking it, but then be consistent. That would be a suggestion, right? You also use very good words like unimaginable. I was able to navigate. I chose a research. So a lot of good words to the way you expressed was helping you convey what you wanted to. So again, congratulate you for that. Shwetank, for you, I'll try to be a little brief, although you spoke, I think, for a lot of minutes, and I have a lot of points for you, but maybe I'll share more. They might also say that, oh, that's my girl, right? You heard that. So that doesn't mean it's their daughter. So when you're talking about your children, you probably want to say my son and my daughter, again, to be a little more neutral culturally, so that everybody kind of takes it in a same way, right? Then I think for Toastmaster Pratiksha, I don't have many thoughts. Majority of them are how you use plurals. In fact, at times you miss them. So when you want to say days, so you said these are 2 magical days of my life, but you didn't say days, you said day. So you have a inclination to miss S when you speak. So you probably want to practice that. And that happened a lot. So I'll not repeat how many times. You actually used a lot of good words. And I think one pronunciation that you can note is live. So when you say, I want to live in a country or something like that, you said, you actually say leave. So you want to probably practice, how to say live and leave. They are 2 different words. And children's, you said a couple of times. So children itself is a plural. So you want to say children, and that is more than one only. Then Toastmaster Manveer, I actually do not have many suggestions for her, but she used a lot of good words, and I'm going to just repeat them for anybody who wants to adopt any of these words. She said uninitiated, meaning people who are not aware about something and you want to, introduce them to the idea. Pursuit, which came as the title of speech, was a wonderful word. Pursuit of something, meaning it's like a mission that you want to pursue. Fleeting moments of happiness, great expression. Venture further into realm of happiness, she said, right? So realm is another world. So that's also a very dreamy, imaginative word you can use. Bit of chaos. I think Toastmaster Manvi did not pronounce this very well. She said chaos or something. So it is chaos, chaos, chaos. And that's also a wonderful word. Misery, fortress, flutter of wings, she said a lot of times. Unprecedented times. Then she said fathomed into the thoughts. So that means you're going deep into the thought process of something. Irreparable loss, meaning something which cannot be corrected or rewind. Existential crisis, she said. Again, something you can use when you're talking about something deep and philosophical. Momentary, she said, although she didn't pronounce this very well. Everlasting impression. Then she said, they were meeting people left, right, and center. That's also a nice and casual way of saying that, meeting a lot of people, random people. Eyes were beaming with confidence. So again, a very nice expression of saying that they had some kind of joy in their eyes or spirit, which was good. Trauma, strength. Then she said trauma ran deep. So she wanted to add a little more attention to that, which also was very nicely done. Resilience is a word she used twice. Then she wanted to say this one person was petting dogs. So she said petting strays. That's also a very nice way of saying that he was petting dogs which were strays, which were street dogs, not adopted by anybody. Then she said this person was earning a buck and then, spending it some. So earning a buck meaning they were actually earning some money by doing something, whatever they were doing. And then she used a very good phrase, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. Again, going back to her theme. And then she said, trust your gut. That's also a phrase that a lot of us can use if we want to, right? A couple of times she said, how do we get happy? Maybe you can express it better, Toastmaster Manveer. And also telling his stories about his youth. So his is repeated a lot here, which you could avoid. But otherwise, overall, very well worded speech. I know I'm taking a little longer. I'll probably try to wrap up in a couple of minutes. Toastmaster Ritu used a lot of good words. Such a delight, she said. And then also introduced and asked people that who wants to be a daredevil. That's also a very good word to encourage somebody to take an action. I loved how she made sure to not say best speech, but a better speech, because we want to say there is nothing perfection like. So you want to encourage them, one can be better than the other. Then at one point, Toastmaster Ritu, you said that I am now craving for spicy food. You probably want to say I'm craving spicy food, not for spicy food. Crave food in itself is a verb and a noun. Then she very well added words after the speeches. So Shivani talked about introversion. So she said extrovert and then explained it. Similarly, also talked about the fact that changes lead to strengths. So that combination is nicely done. Similarly for Amita, she added a word or a way to express the food that she was eating on the street vendors and all. So she said street food, which is actually more appropriate when you're talking about food you've had from a street hawker or a vendor. And one thing I think could be better, love them or hate them, but you were talking about table topic section. So you can say love it or hate it, right? Because it's one section. Toastmaster Sandeep, I do not have a lot of comments for you. So I'm probably going to skip most of it, except you used a good word acronym when you were talking about ABC, the name of your friend, you explained it. Nicely done. Toastmaster Vijay, your topic was interesting. A couple of words you could use better. You said, I live in peripheries. So you probably live in the periphery of your city or town or wherever you're talking about. That's a singular. Then you said, I made it the point of doing something. So you made it a point to do something. In concluding, when you said, so you probably want to say in conclusion or to conclude. Can you, and then you said, you can be honing your point by doing it. So you probably want to use a better word or say you can hone your skill or whatever you want to say, right? Honing a point makes little sense. Pronunciation wise, a few words and suggestions. Cumulative effect. You do not speak it in a very, correct way. Try Google and see the right way of pronouncing it. Similarly, capabilities and potentials are two other words that you can see how you pronounce and correct it. Toastmaster Shivani, good words, scenario, perspective, adapt. She used very well. A couple of suggestions. When you said people who almost complain about everything, you mean to say people who complain almost about everything. So the almost is with what they complain about, not about almost complaining, right? So you complain or you don't complain. Similarly, she said, I was an introvert and I barely talk to people initially. Now you probably want to express more. What do you mean by initially? Initial part of your career, initial part of your life, childhood. So a little context there would help you, right? Otherwise, great expression. Shubha, no comments for you, but welcome to the meeting. And Sandhya, Toastmaster Sandhya said, emotions will add more value to your speech. I know what she probably meant, but an emotion probably cannot add value to a speech, right? So you probably want to replace it with a more apt word. Good word she used was not poker faced. She said well articulated. That's a good word to use for a speech which is well worded and spoken. Toastmaster Amita, good words, mesmerized. You probably want to see how you pronounce incredible, humble, and delivered, and forward. So you said move forward. So your way of saying forward is a little not up to the mark. So you probably want to look into that. I think that's all from my report. And thank you so much for bearing with me. And I hope to listen to a lot more of you. I enjoyed every one of the speeches and conversations. Thank you so much. Over to you.
All right. I think our grammarian today deserves a round of applause.